All right, well, thank you so much for the opportunity to present today. I have no disclosures. The QR code in the top corner of my presentation is a link to all my references I've used for my presentation. I have it again on my final slide for you. So first, let's talk about the problem. 4 to 10% of patients undergoing cholecystectomy will have common bile duct stones. And as you all know, you can manage this in one of two ways, typically, either with a lap chole with pre-op or post-op ERCP. Oops, went backwards. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, or lap chole with lap common duct exploration, in which you can handle everything under one anesthetic. Compared with ERCP, lap common duct exploration has been associated with decreased length of stay and decreased cost, but equal efficacy and safety profile as ERCP. But lap common duct exploration is rarely utilized. A JAMA Surgery article in 2016 that was published noted that lap common duct exploration in 1998 compared to 2013 was utilized 5%, then compared to 1.5% in 2013, so on the decline. So this begs the question, how do we reclaim choledocholithiasis as a surgically managed process? The diffusion of innovation theory was developed by E.M. Rogers in 1962, and it attempts to explain how an idea gains momentum. Since lap common duct exploration is so underutilized, it's essentially like an emerging technology, and it lays within the hands of the early adopters right now. And the chasm between the early adopters and the early majority is large. It's typically accepted that if you bridge the chasm, your idea is going to take off, but if you never bridge that chasm between the early adopters and the early majority, your idea is never going to gain traction. So how do we bridge the chasm for lap common duct exploration? First, we need to teach the techniques. Second, we need to reclaim the pathways from the ED straight to a surgical service rather than a medical service. And third, we need to increase the simplicity. So the solution from our institution, in order to increase lap common duct exploration simplicity, we first reclaimed the pathway and had all our choledocholithiasis admitted to surgical services. Then we created a stepwise intraoperative pathway in which we utilized balloon sphincteroplasty. In order to look at the efficacy and safety outcomes, we reviewed our experience over a 3-year period. So first I want to talk about the technique real quick. This is just a picture of our standard cholangiogram setup that we use. We've coined this wire-ready cholangiography. Basically, we use a ureteral stent to perform our cholangiogram, and this is a Tuohy-Borst connector proximal. It all looks very complicated, but it's pretty simple arts and crafts. This will allow you to put down a wire as soon as you notice a filling defect, and you're not having to do any catheter exchanges. You're ready to intervene the moment you do your cholangiography. So here's a depiction of the ureteral stent down when we're placing a wire once we've noted stones we want to clear. We then advance the balloon catheter over the wire. We advance it all the way into the duodenum initially and then inflate the balloon. We do this and then pull back slightly. The balloon catheters have markers that you can see on fluoroscopy, 2 markers, but this also allows you to get a tactile feel for where the sphincter is. Often when you put down a catheter, you distort the initial anatomy from your initial cholangiogram. So this gives you both visual and tactile feedback about where the sphincter is. So when you have a pretty good idea about where it is, you can deflate the balloon, pull back slightly, and then reinflate. You'll notice a waist where the sphincter is, and as you watch the balloon come up to profile. This is a cholangiogram of us coming up, or not a cholangiogram, this is our fluoro shot, if I can figure out how to play it for you. Advance again, okay. Okay, and then you can see the waist where the sphincter is as our balloon's coming up to profile. We typically hold this for 3 minutes once we get up to profile, and you can see that we inflate the balloon with a 50-50 mix of contrast and saline so you can easily see the balloon. After we've done a successful dilation, we slightly deflate the balloon and pull back. It's not really depicted that well on this picture, the deflation part, but we bring back the balloon to the cystic comic duct junction and then shoot our final cholangiogram through the balloon catheter. We remove the wire. This allows us to perform a pressurized cholangiogram for which to flush the stones forward, and also prevents any stones from refluxing proximally into your hepatic ducts. This is another shot of us performing our completion cholangiogram through the balloon. Might be a little difficult to appreciate, but there's still a stone in the common duct you can see there, and then it makes its way down to the sphincter right there, and then under pressurized flushing, it makes its way into the duodenum when we're done. So over the 3-year period, we performed balloon sphincteroplasty on 28 patients, 12 men, 16 women. The primary indications for the operations were typically cholecystitis or choledocholithiasis. 13 different primary surgeons performed these operations. I just want to highlight this because I think it speaks to the fact that this technique is simple and that people are willing to try it when they're utilizing familiar techniques such as Seldinger technique. Despite having 13 different surgeons who are probably still well within their learning curve, we had a 75% clearance rate. We had no intraoperative or postoperative complications. Our median length of stay was 58 hours, and on average, we had 6-month follow-up for these patients. The complications that could be associated with balloon sphincteroplasty are common, or similar as ERCP. It's perforation, pancreatitis, bleeding, and then a common criticism of balloon dilation comes from GI literature. This is a meta-analysis in 2006 comparing balloon dilation to sphincterotomy during ERCP for stones. And they found that there's a higher rate of pancreatitis in the balloon dilation group compared to the sphincterotomy group, although a majority of these cases were mild. Despite this being found in the ERCP literature, we have not had any cases of pancreatitis with our cohort. And also small studies that do transcystic balloon dilation have also had very small incidence of pancreatitis in their group too. So in conclusion, to increase lap common duct simplicity, to increase adoption, we have to increase simplicity. We believe that transcystic balloon sphincteroplasty is another tool in the toolbox that may be a gateway for further expansion and adoption of lap common duct exploration. We have found it to be both safe and effective. Before I conclude my presentation, I just want to invite anyone in the audience who is interested in lap common duct innovation or adoption and spreading the adoption to reach out to me or my mentor, Dr. Neff. We're looking for partners for multi-site collaboration. We're also doing things like creating new catheters. This is a little brief preview of one we have working on right now. And so we're really interested in anyone who wants to help out with this kind of stuff. There's our Twitter and email there. And now I'm available for any questions.